Blue, former Treasury Secretary under President Obama, also former budget director, and also his former chief of staff and top economic advisor. It's so good to see you again. Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. So, I know deja vu all over again, as Yogi Berra did say. How do we get into this mess? How do we get out of this mess? With the president saying absolutely no talks on anything linking budget cuts to the debt ceiling, and Speaker McCarthy saying no deal. And Mitch McConnell today saying, well, it's up to them. We'll pass anything they agree to.
Well, it's good to be with you, Andrea. I wish it was a different subject.
Yes, I know.
To be clear, what the White House has said is you can't negotiate with a gun to your head over the debt limit and have the risk of default if the parties can't come together. In 2011, when I was budget director, and in 2013, when I was Treasury Secretary, we went through this, and we learned you can get awfully close to the line, and even an accident can push you into default, which would be a disaster. It's a question of, is it bad or worse? There's no good outcome to default. I think at the same time, the administration has made clear that they're ready to have a negotiation over fiscal policy. And that needs, in my view, to begin as soon as possible. I was heartened that the president called the leaders to the White House next week. I hope they can find a pathway to extending the debt limit and then negotiating over fiscal policy, which is what you do, particularly when you have divided government. I think it's a hard path ahead because the political situation is different than it's ever been. It's reached a level of polarization that is, even high compared to the days that we thought it couldn't get any worse.
And these fights, these deadlocks are very expensive. In 2011, the credit rating of the United States, of the faith of people in the U.S. government, and the confidence, the full confidence in the U.S. government, was downgraded, and it cost, according to the GAO, $1.3 billion just to get that close to default.
To be clear, as you just said, that was coming close to default. If we actually defaulted, that was based on the conclusion that Standard & Poor's reached was that our political system was broken, not that we were a credit risk. If we actually default, that's a whole different level of risk. We're already seeing the pricing sort of seep into the system with less demand for treasuries that are going to mature during the window of risk, and rates are higher in that period. Every day you get closer, that gets more so. And the cost of $1.3 billion is just a drop in the bucket to what it will cost if we actually default.
What would it cost?
It depends how much debt rolled over and how long higher rates were to go forward. It's not hard to get to numbers that are tens of billions of dollars in terms of what the cost could be. And every $1 billion you spend on a manufactured political crisis is just money you've burnt. So at a time when the focus really should be on making real fiscal policy decisions, it's just simply wasting money. So
the situation is that Speaker McCarthy managed to squeak through this bill that's going nowhere, but it was 217 to 215. So he got them to agree to that, but they're not going to agree. He needs Democrats to make something happen. Or with this discharge petition that the Democrats have, they need Republicans. And neither side is giving.
Well, the substance of what the House passed last week is not what you would pass if your goal was to reach an agreement across the aisle. It was very extreme. They say they're freezing spending, but when you do the arithmetic, if you freeze the overall level of spending, but you don't cut defense and you don't cut veterans, you're cutting everything else by a third. That's not a small decision. That means for a student on Pell Grants, losing $1,000. These are big, big numbers. So you add to that putting work requirements on food stamps and Medicaid, repealing the principal accomplishment of the first 2 years on global climate change. You think about that against what raising the debt ceiling is. Raising the debt ceiling is paying the bills for everything you've already done, including the tax cuts in 2017, which weren't paid for. It's not a reasonable demand. So it's going to have to get to a negotiation, and it's going to have to get to a negotiation over something that parties that don't view the world the same way can work through. I think that will end up being a discussion about what the funding levels for the next year should be. And as I say, the sooner they get to that, the better. The idea that you can negotiate over the debt ceiling with confidence that you will not make a mistake, I think is foolhardy. Because we saw in 2011, we almost went over the cliff, and I don't know you can avoid it this time.
And what should the Fed do, given that it's fighting inflation, but there's this risk down the road?
Yeah, the Fed has an awful lot of things that it has to juggle. It's focused on dealing with the core inflation that is stubborn. It's dealing with the financial situation after the failure of several banks. And now it's dealing with the uncertainty that we could have a political crisis create an economic crisis.
Should they pause?
So whether they should pause or not, they're obviously deciding that as we sit here, and they'll announce it very soon. I think that they've been very clear that they're going to get to a place where they do pause. If it's after this meeting or not, I don't know. I personally think that they've made good decisions to take it a step at a time. And at some point, they do need to pause to see if the effect of credit tightening is actually doing some of their work for them. And they've made clear they don't know the answer to that yet.